More than 3 months after helping lead the Eagles to their second Super Bowl title, head coach Nick Sirianni's agreed to a multi-year extension. Former Jets GM Joe Douglas back with Philadelphia in a senior scouting role. He was the Eagles VP of player personnel from 2016 to 2019. NFL owners will meet tomorrow and Wednesday to vote on a handful of proposals. One would ban the tush push, a play the Eagles have excelled at and was run on 0.28% of all plays in the NFL last season. Eliminating it wouldn't be a bad thing, according to ESPN NFL analyst Dominique Foxworth.
It encourages a style of play that we want to get away from, and a style of play that's not fun. So the Eagles have had a great time with it, I think. And no disrespect to them, they've created something that's really awesome for them, but no one wants to watch it. Run the ball, do a play action, do something more fun on 4th and short.
Two-time defending Indy 500 winner Joseph Newgarden and Team Penske teammate Will Power will have to start from the final 2 spots on the grid for Sunday's race after their teams were penalized for violating the rules during qualifying weekend.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman, and coming up Tuesday with the NFL owners scheduled to meet this week, Adam Schefter will tell us if the tush push will finally be banned when he joins us at 8 a.m. Eastern. It's on Sportsman, like 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
From Studio 2 at the worldwide headquarters of ESPN and the HD studio in Atlanta, Georgia.
Let's do it.
This is Freddie and Harry.
The selection committee today, classic candies, E-Dog.
So I remember being in elementary school and like they pass around a bucket of candy, you get to pick what you want. And a lot of times the very exclusive candy is Fun Dip. Like if you didn't get the Fun Dip, you felt like you missed out. So every time I got the Fun Dip, comes with like a white stick that you can dip in. And
what color was the stick?
It was a white stick.
Yeah, it was. Pure sugar. Pure
Gets
sugar.
the job done. And the powdered sugar to go, dip it into.
No problem.
So tasty.
Had a baby E.
This is Freddie and Harry.
Got my guy, Myron Metcalf, and my other guy, Harry Douglas. I'm just merely Freddie Coleman. You put us together, and you're the best show on your radio, Reggae Monday style, and Freddie and Harry. And we are here on the ESPN app. Sirius XM Channel 80. Don't forget about us and tune in and tell that smart speaker to play ESPN Radio. The best and worst of your sports weekend, courtesy of Messrs. Coleman and Metcalf, will come your way in about 10 minutes, give or take, or a minute or two. And I'm just going to read a statement about the opening weekend involving the WNBA kicking off their 29th season, and I quote, "The WNBA strongly condemns racism, hate, and discrimination in all forms. They have no place in our league or in society. We are all aware of the allegations and are looking into the matter," end quote. That involved what happened involving Caitlin Clark, Indiana Fever, and Angel Reese of the Chicago Sky. Third quarter of Indiana's win over Chicago on Saturday, 93-58. Reese grabbed an offensive rebound, about to go to the basket to try to make a layup. Well, then Caitlin Clark slapped at the ball. Reese fell to the court, got back up, tried to confront Clark. People got in the way of that. Aaliyah Boston got between them. She got a technical foul. I don't know why she got that. So did Angel Reese. She got a technical foul, and Clark's foul was upgraded to a flagrant 1. It wasn't so much the play, my Metcalf, but the minute I saw that, I knew exactly what path was going to go down. And it got to that path again, involving these two women who did not ask for any of this in terms of outside noise regarding anything they do on the basketball court.
Yeah, I mean, on one hand, this is why they put the Fever against the Sky, right? They knew, the emotions around this rivalry. Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark have literally been battling since AAU ball. But when I saw that play, I was with you, Freddie. I knew what this would become, and it's going into, again, this sort of ugly world where there are a lot of people making this something that's beyond basketball. And I don't think Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese are inviting that. Yeah. But there are so many involved in, whether it's politics or race or culture, all these other things, that we can't just treat it as basketball. And I think we got to block those voices out and really focus on the game before this becomes the theme and the great basketball in the WNBA doesn't get the full credit that it deserves.
Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Caitlin Clark first and Angel Reese second. Hear what they said about that flagrant foul that happened, and not so much about the reaction, but exactly what it was. A basketball play.
Let's not make it anything that it's not. It was just a good play on the basketball. I'm not sure what the refs saw to upgrade it, and that's up to their discretion after watching the initial whatever happened.
Hey, what's up? It's The Drive with Tay and Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. Derek Piper, Curtis Allen, our new producer. Can you say what's up, Kurt? Yep, you're on. How you doing?
I'm all right, man. Thank you for having me. Looking forward to working with you.
Absolutely. Should be a fun summer having you here. And I'll take all the blame, at least for the first week, right, on any of the growing pains that might go through. But I think you're going to do great. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself before we bring in our guest co-host?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if someone's listening right now and they might know who I am, I was across town in Champaign for many, many years. I've been working in radio in Central Illinois, oh my gosh, since like 2005, 2004. Mm-hmm. And an opportunity just sort of popped up to come work with you guys. And I thought, why not? Let's have some fun,
Let's do it.
So let's do it, bro. I'm happy to be here.
It's great to have you.
Yeah.
We're also excited to have a guy we've had in here a number of times, Joey Wagner. Illini Inquirer. What's up, man?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me. Curtis is a guy by the name of Lante who's in here every now and again.
Yeah, you know what?
Also is part of this, and I sub in when Lon is lawning.
When Lon is lawning.
He's lawning quite a bit these days. Which, hey, Andrew Tay in the senior year of baseball, going to have postseason coming up here soon.
Yeah, it's about that time, isn't it, for IHSA?
No doubt.
Postseason. Honestly, it's cool, Lon, just to watch this kid be a really good baseball player.
Yeah, no, I'd like to be able to throw 92 miles an hour. And if I say my prayers every night, I'll get there. But no, I doubt it. But excited for Lon to continue to watch out of the rest of that high school career. Excited to talk some football with you, Joey. And we can get up to date on what was coming out of Brett Bielema's program, spring practice. Of course, you had the extension, which we, as we tend to do, focus a lot on the basketball side of things. And you got the dual extension with Brad Underwood and Brett Bielema. But obviously, Bielema was a huge deal as well, and did hit on that some, but we can touch on that. I did have a Illini football next question in mind, which I want to get to later this hour. Pick Joey's brain and toss around some fun subjects. Also, some nitty gritty of this roster as it's shaped up and what that looks like. But I did want to, on the front end of this, get your thoughts on the NFL draft, because you went up to Green Bay last month and that looked like a big old party up there in Wisconsin, was it not?
It was, and we had fun being a part of that party. Thursday was interesting. We got into Green Bay probably around 6, just outside of Green Bay around 6, and we got a text and it said it was an alert from you have to download an app to get in, and they said, hey, we're at capacity. What? It's outside. Like, what do we mean we're at capacity here? And so we got an Uber down to Lambeau, and people were in line that said it might be about 4 hours before we can get in. I'm like, that's the first round. Like, I think you just need to come to grips that you're not going to see any pictures. So we went to some establishments around Lambeau and had a good time. It's really grown up around Lambeau a lot more than maybe I guess I realized. I don't know if that was draft prep or kind of ballpark village like they do in St. Louis. So we had a good time there. Friday went in. Look, man, it's a party. I don't know that I would do a second one. I mean, at some point, you're just kind of watching teams read spreadsheets in front of a bunch of people, and it's crowded. Drinks are expensive, but it was in Green Bay, so had to go up there and have a couple old fashions and make a good weekend of it.
I like that. So are you just – I feel like you're, as a Bears fan, and you're a Packers fan, obviously, I think you're just trying to separate the association, although not that you wouldn't sign your name right next to Clay Matthews, of what he had to say on stage. Like, oh, yeah, I wasn't there, Pipes, on Thursday. I wouldn't have been a part of that when he said –
No, we were a part of it at the bar, though.
The Bears still suck.
Oh, that came up a time or two at some of the bars around Lambeau's, you would guess.
Yeah.
Especially when it was not Tyler Warren.
It wasn't.
Correct. That was really surprising, to be honest. We haven't caught up, Derek, since I know it's a little bit of old news, but that was surprising. I think they made up for it getting Burden in the second round. That's a really good pick.
He's a first-round talent that fell into the second round.
Yeah, he was kind of a victim of Mizzou's offense not being, I guess, maybe what Mizzou had hoped for this past season. But that dude is really, really good. That's going to be a pick that you're going to look back on and say, oh, wow, they got him in the second round. That's a steal.
I know that Matt Miller on ESPN compared him to Stephon Diggs, which is a comparison. As somebody that has seen more of Luther Burden than I have, I've admittedly, as you and I are both NCAA football 25 enthusiasts, I've probably more familiar with Luther Burden on PlayStation 5, than I am in person. But the highlight tapes is pretty spectacular. And I did see that his his 40 time was comparable to speedster Jamison Williams, which Ben Johnson utilized pretty well there in Detroit.
How are you handling? We haven't talked since the Bears kind of got more buzz. Overall, it's a good draft. Like even Loveland, I don't think that's a terrible pick. Warren was so assumed to be that next tier of talent. But how are you handling the, I don't know, increased expectations? Where are you setting those at with Ben Johnson, who's really well thought of, a good draft, and Caleb Williams now in his second year?
I keep just coming back for more. Eventually, it's like every year you get your hopes up and then you get knocked in the face and then you pretend like you didn't care, or now you don't care, and then you just kind of go hide away from a while. And then you get the build up in the summer, and I'll be fully ready to get hurt again come start of this season as well. So I picked them, and this was me speaking probably way more with my heart than my head last year. I picked the Bears to win the division, and I don't
think that happened.
I don't think they did. No. But ultimately, yeah, I certainly you love the hire. I mean, Ben Johnson's a rock star hire. It's who they wanted. He's a great offensive mind, and I think it says something about the Bears that they were able to get that guy, or they didn't overthink it. They didn't not galaxy brain it, but Bears brain it really, and try to do something different. And that it was still an attractive enough hire or attractive enough spot that Ben Johnson wanted to go there. Then you get more pieces around Caleb Williams. So I'm up for it. I think it's going to be really interesting now that the Bears are more under the microscope or in the spotlight. I mean, the fact that you just have the recent Seth Wickersham story that comes out, and that's another part of it, which
that surprised me because I thought those quotes, like if you're going to have that of an active quarterback, I thought maybe they would be less direct quotes from the quarterback of his party and more like sourced out, anonymous sources told, not Caleb and his dad saying everything on the record and to be quoted straight up.
I just don't think Carl Williams cares. I think Carl Williams is here for the attention and here for saying what he wants to say.
This is the first time he's been heard of, though, since Caleb got to Chicago, which
would
have probably been over on the preseason over-under for when you'll hear from Carl Williams.
That's a great call, yeah.
That was – I did not think they would have direct quotes from him and Caleb.
I mean, eventually we stopped hearing from LeVar Ball, right? Or just it stopped coming across my radar. So I don't know if that's going to be something that eventually plays itself out. I think it's easy, and I know we're bouncing around here a little bit, but that's fine. I think that from the Bears side of things, it's immediately easy to get frustrated that those quotes got out there, that Carl was willing to be so. There's a way to, if you want to even do it like anonymous sourcing, said this is how Caleb felt and this type of thing. And kind of the bottom line of it, especially as you think upon it more, like he's not wrong. The Bears have been a place where quarterbacks have gone to die, or
nothing
just,
he said was surprising,
or where there's just no quarterbacks. So there's that part of it. I said to Lon last week that it was kind of like the Aaron Rodgers "I own you," where it's like, yep, you're right, you do, or yep, Chicago is a terrible place to play quarterback. So I get that part of it. At the same time, so are a lot of other places that you would go to if you pick number one in the draft.
You're
think
not
Carolina's
picking number
awesome
one because you've got a good quarterback.
You want to go play for the Giants?
Yeah.
Great. Have at it. I'm sure that place is lovely. No, it's not. So there's that associated with it as well. And if you're the generational talent, which everyone said you were coming out of the draft, you should be able to elevate a place that has been through some stuff. And they've done everything. I wouldn't say everything. They've done a lot since you've been there to put the right scenario around you. Now, part of that could have been better if you maybe fired Eberflus a year earlier and all the dysfunction that happened with Shane Waldron and on down the line. So, I get some of the hesitation on Chicago pre-draft, but you hate seeing a source or just a quote from literally Caleb to his dad. Hey, let's get to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
Come on, man.
That hurts.
It's only one place that could have been worse. Can we get to Green Bay? Can I be Aaron Rodgers' successor? But Jordan Love's already in place. No. Pipes, you are far more positive, even in your misery right now, than I have been in a long time. So I tip my cap to you on that.
You a Bears fan?
Yeah, sadly, I'm in the pit with you. But they broke me during the Trestman era. Like when Bruce Arians was available for that hire after being coach of the year, I was like, well, that's it. I have no more joy in football, so I'll just hate watch for a while.
Well, I've done a lot of hate watching.
And a while has been a decade now, so Sorry.
I don't blame you, man. I don't blame you. I think the Minnesota destination is where you go after you are past your welcome or just things have gotten a little complicated in the relationship in Green Bay.
And then by way of New York.
Yeah, New York.
Yeah, you got to go to New York to really let it bottom out before you go to Minnesota and have some sort of revival. I'm fascinated where it feels like Pittsburgh is the destination.
That's what everybody's saying. It feels like
New Orleans,
too inevitable.
New Orleans is
really?
sitting there open. I don't know if there's a tie there, but if you're Aaron Rodgers, do you not look and see what they have in place there and wonder if maybe that's a more attractive indoor destination to go to? I don't know. I don't know how that's going to shake out, but for two teams on May 19th to need a quarterback in the way that the Saints and the Steelers do it's not a great spot to find yourself in.
Yeah, the Derek Carr deal with New Orleans really hamstrung them pretty good. I thought that would be a good Justin Fields destination after he was out of Chicago, but now he's in New York.
Minnesota's
he's taking
calling.
it up
Give
on
him
the
a
Jets.
minute here.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt JJ McCarthy is going to get his run at it for sure. Now, to go back to the draft, Joey, I was conflicted and at first admittedly underwhelmed with the Colston Loveland pick. I think in digging into it more and seeing some of the parallels between him and Sam Laporta, at least I'm going to tell myself on the front end that, hey, whatever Ben Johnson says, Ben Johnson gets, and I'm down with him calling the shots there in Chicago. So I was lukewarm on that pick. I'm sure you had a full approval rating for Green Bay taking Matthew Golden.
I did. He's not the tallest guy. You'll take the speed. I was happy they did it finally. They finally took a first-round receiver. I do have some questions just in terms of, can he go play on the outside? Can Jayden Reed go play on the outside? Both those two would seem to overlap a little bit just in terms of what they do at receiver, but I also don't know if I care. Just go get a really fast receiver and go from there, especially with Christian Watson, who's going to miss the beginning of the season as he comes back from that injury. I was look, we'd had a couple drinks, and at that point I was like, all right, this is great.
Let's give the people what they want time,
everybody around
right?
me
Yeah.
is thrilled, and I was thrilled too, and the speed plays. So we'll see how it works out. I thought the Packers did fine in the draft, but I was thrilled that they did. I would have taken Will Johnson too. He's not a wide receiver, but I think he's really, really talented. I would have taken Luther Burden.
Right.
He's a really good pick for the Bears. So yeah, I was pumped with that.
Can you fill us in a little bit more on the setup? Like if you're going to go to a draft, and I know Green Bay is maybe different than watching it in Nashville, which did they do that on Broadway?
They did. I was in Nashville for that. Less going as a draft destination and more like, oh, we're in Nashville. Hey, that is happening too.
So did the bridesmaids all said that down there with the the
that
bachelorette
video,
parties.
yeah.
Like, oh, we're gonna do Nashville like everybody else. Oh, the draft is here. Although you were like cool, and they were like,
we kind of
this
knew
is a
it was going to
nightmare
be there, but we weren't intending to make it a full experience like we were Green Bay. Yeah, I mean, it is packed, and Green Bay put a lot into making that work, and to be, I thought Green Bay really delivered as a city and as people in Wisconsin. They really delivered in making that as impressive visually as it was in Detroit the year before that. So that was really cool to see, and to see Green Bay. I don't know that the locals loved it. By like the second day, I think it's like, thanks for stopping through. Make sure you get to your flight on time, and we'll see you later.
Get some spotted cow on the way out.
And don't come back. It's a tight-knit community there. It's not for everyone. Like, the more you get into it, and for us, we're so work-driven with it, right? Next year, we'll get into that, Derek, and that is not going to be a go-to-the-draft for fun weekend. That's going to be a really busy work weekend, I have to imagine, in terms of where Illinois football and kind of how those two things overlap. But I kind of joke going up. I told my buddy who flew in from L.A. with his wife, I said, your wife and my girlfriend are not going to – I think by like the fourth pick that we see live, they're going to say, what are we doing here? This is not fun, and it's really not. It's like the commercials on TV really do a lot of heavy lifting for some of that awkward in between time. Like that, it's just like a cover band that isn't very good, and it's like, okay, it's kind of cold out here. This is not like, I'd rather just you play the actual song without a band here.
Yeah, right.
Period. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just kind of getting old and cranky about it, but I don't know that there would be a second time for me. And maybe for you, if it's back in Chicago, you go up to Chicago and have a good time, and being around your fan people is fun, right? I mean, it's super fun to be excited about the same thing that everybody else is excited about. But kind of got chilly, and you're like, it's been raining all day. I'm good here.
Was the celebrity aspect of it as big locally as it was on TV? Because you've got all these teams that have different celebs. They fly in, they do the picks. But like, were you seeing people out and about?
Not
like,
really. We were at a
fans?
bar, and like Mark Murphy came in to do a TV hit, the Packers president. I was like, oh, that's cool. And that was really about it. That was it. I mean, I think there was like an exit spot, so we couldn't get in Thursday, so we were walking to a bar on the other side of Lambeau, and I think maybe Will Campbell walked by, but it was at night. It's kind of happened very quickly as he probably went and boarded a plane and got out of Green Bay.
Sure, yeah,
really quickly. But yeah, there wasn't a lot of like, oh my gosh, it's so and so. It's more you kind of stick in your circle, and you get to the draft, and there's a lot of interestingly dressed people up front, and otherwise everyone just in green and yellow.
Depending on how many old fashions you've had, would increase or decrease the odds of Will Campbell walking by and you'd be like, hey, short arms.
I mean, it would have to be like I'm getting in my Uber after a long night level of old fashioned.
Driving off with the window down.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, burn through the red if you can. Let's get out of here.
I kid, of course. Joey's not that guy. Not that guy on the road. Curtis, could you see yourself going to a draft as a?
Oh my god!
Even though you quit football 10 years ago.
Yeah, I didn't quit it. I hate watch it.
Right. Yes. That's more the accurate way. Yeah.
Could I see myself going to it? Man, that's a lot of chaos. That's like, I go to big music festivals and stuff like that. And to Joey's point, like I'm getting a little older, so I go, what? There's just too many people. Like I just want to go sit down, which is kind of a weird. Like I don't want to stand there for 8 hours while other teams are making picks, know, and then trying to find ways to kill time and fight the crowd. So probably not unless there was a comped for VIP section where I could sit on a couch with snacks. For sure, beer. Something.
Sounds like a way to go. Yeah. Like, how do you get a beer? Like, it seems like
they have like vendors around there.
But it's all like if watching night one, it looked like once you were where you were.
Yeah,
getting,
I don't know how you move.
Like you were gonna navigate through 10 cams
just to try,
just to get to a bathroom or to another vendor.
Yeah, and the other sneaky part to your point, Curtis, is like you don't really get the analysis, and you can argue how good you think NFL or ESPN or NFL Network or whoever you go to for your immediate reaction to the picks. You don't really get that. It's just someone singing like Uptown Funk and not very good. And you're like, all right, I don't really want my phone to die, so I guess I'll catch up on all of this later. So it's just different. Like some things I think are really well done on TV, regardless if you agree with the main personalities on that. Like you do want to get that instant feed. It's like the Masters. I think Derek and I maybe have talked about this. I'd like to go for Thursday, but Sunday it's so well done on TV that you're kind of doing yourself a disservice, other than being there for the moment, which is awesome, to see the full scope of coverage, unless you just want to go watch Rory and follow Rory for his whole final round. It's nice to kind of zoom out a little bit and get a big picture of everything.
It's a good call. You followed around Illinois men's golf here at Atkins. How was that?
It was good. I thought Atkins really delivered. Like that was a really well done tournament. Illinois obviously tied for first and will be at Nationals next week, but Atkins for kind of short notice a little bit to host that regional. 6 months, 8 months is short notice in the golf world to put that all together. The weather was good. The course was good. The golf was fun to watch. I mean, you get to see some high-level golfers going out there and doing their thing. That couldn't have gone better. I'd love to see Illinois get another crack at hosting a regional whenever that comes down to it, because the fans showed up. And I think that is something that when we spend as much time covering football and men's and women's basketball as we do, that you can overlook just the fact that they're going to show up, because that's what you do for those three sporting events. But to see golf fans turn out in the way that they did and be there for 3 mornings of work days. This is a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You're not talking Saturday, Sunday here. And they really delivered. I thought it was a cool atmosphere, a cool experience for those golfers to have. And the course played really good. So I love to see them do that again.
If you got a question for Joey or any of us, hit us up, 217-359-2255, Max Twin City Recycling text line. Scott Docterman, The Athletic, is going to join us at the top of next hour to discuss Big Ten football. He's an Iowa guy, or he's covered Iowa for a long time, so I want to ask him on the basketball side. Ben McCollum, the new head man there, and Bennett Sturts. It's the mania starting up in Iowa City. Well, will they get all the way back in on men's basketball at Iowa? That was something that really dipped in terms of the attendance and the just the interest, the excitement for the program as the stretch run went down there for Fran McCaffery. So we'll take the temperature with Scott Docterman on Iowa City and also around the Big Ten for football here coming up in a little bit. Before we get into a break, I want to do Illini football next question coming up next, but kind of as a teaser on the subject of the draft, Joey, Gabe Backus has widely been thought to be the number one draft prospect on this Brett Bielema football team going into next year. I know that was it Todd McShay that early projected as far as the 26 mock draft in the first round. If we assume Gabe is going to be the first guy off the board for Illinois, number one, do you think how legitimate do you think the first round grade is right now? And number two, if Gabe's number one, who do you think is the best choice for number two to go from Illinois in next year's draft?
I think the first round grade is legitimate because you saw what he did from a pressure standpoint last season, especially against, you look at his game against Michigan. I remember digging through the numbers right after that happened. That was not a lot of edge rushers have done to Michigan what Gabe Backus did to Michigan, and they had first round picks. I mean, the season wasn't what they had hoped it was going to be, but they had a lot of talent, especially in the trenches, and the way he was able to play there and continue that throughout the season, I think he could be in for another year where his profile as a first round draft pick. Obviously, physically, he's incredibly imposing. He moved better in space, I thought, last year. There was talks last offseason, we thought, is he going to be on the defensive line or are they going to keep him on the edge? That's not a talk anymore. He's on the edge there. So I think that's legitimate. I've had a buddy point out how interesting it is that, this year it's like, okay, third or fourth round, whatever he was graded out. And then the second the draft ends, it's like next year's first round, Gabe Backus. Like nothing has changed from 2 days ago to now other than what you project him ultimately, Derek, to be this coming season. So I think that's there. And I think I'm kind of torn between who is the highest selected after him if we assume he's number one. J.C. Davis would be a guy that has to be in that conversation given how good he is as a pass protector. I thought he was a lot more aggressive in the run game as the season went on and a lot more physical. That was an emphasis for him. But Xavier Scott is the guy I cannot shake that. He was first team All Big Ten. He was a semifinalist for the Thorpe Award. Illinois DBs, you're seeing that reputation. I know that matters in NFL circles. Could he be a guy who, I don't think it's going to be a Devin Witherspoon like rise into that top five, but could he fight his way into that top 55, 60 draft picks and be that second highest rated guy? I think it's entirely possible. Those two would be my front runners right now.
Yeah, Xavier Scott was the first guy I was thinking of, but it's a great point on J.C. Davis. And I remember him going into his first season at Illinois, and boy, you're happy that the Pavia ruling went through and you get a second one out of him, that he was a top 5 graded left tackle, I believe, after his season at New Mexico, right? I think that if I have that correct, coming off of his season there and Pro Football Focus having him, I believe, a top 5 left tackle in terms of his grade. And man, we saw how prioritized that position was in this past draft, and I think just in general, protecting your best asset for the most part in your quarterback, of how high that position is going in drafts. So that's a good point. And if he's having that season that you want, protecting and keeping Luke Altmaier clean, he could be positioned to have a great day 2 or whatever that might look like, in 2026. So day 2, day 3, that'd be awesome for him. So that's one of a handful of questions I have for Joey Wagner. And Curtis, stick around with us the rest of this show, and Scott Docterman will join the party as well, start of the 4 o'clock hour. So Curtis, take it to break. We'll be back. This is The Drive.
Hi, it's Diane Ducey here at CBJ Broadcasting, working with the Champaign-Urbana Autism Network with the Walk and Resource Fair coming to the Champaign County Fairgrounds on June 7th. This is a great way for parents to educate your kiddos on individuals on the autism spectrum that are different, not less. It'll take place from 11 to 1:30 at the Champaign County Fairgrounds. You can get registered now at cuautismnetwork.com. Plus, the Champaign-Urbana Autism Network has a Facebook page with a link. There will be a mobile sensory museum, food vendors, and inflatables. Check-in and registration begins at 11. The silent auction will end at 1. And boy, are there some special prizes. In fact, if you'd like to sponsor, now is the time to move on that. At 1:15, the walk will begin, June 7th at the Champaign County Fairgrounds. Enjoy this sensory-friendly day of fun with CU Autism Network and Stevie J Broadcasting.
Hi, Ellen Hook here, owner of your local Ashley. Attention Champaign-Urbana. The Memorial Day mattress sale is going on now at Ashley. Relax and recharge this summer with our best deals on top mattress brands. Right now, save up to $500 on adjustable sets from Tempur-Pedic and save up to $1,000 on select adjustable sets from Purple. Plus, take advantage of long-term interest-free financing on qualifying in-store purchases. Stop into our newly remodeled mattress gallery today at your local Ashley at 602 West Anthony Drive.
Hey y'all, Ellen Hook here, owner of your local Ashley. Hey, it's Memorial Day and I could hit you guys with an ad about how we have 0% long-term financing for 60 months. We have all these name brand mattresses like Tempur-Pedic, Sealy, Beautyrest, Simmons, Serta, and Ashley Sleep, including Nectar and Purple. But let's be on the real here, guys. I'm a mom of 3, and as an owner of a local business, I rely heavily on sleep. I'm sure y'all do. So come into the Ashley store for the Memorial Day sale, but just focus on finding the mattress that will help you sleep through the night as peacefully and deeply as you possibly can, because I know how important that is. So come into your local Ashley and check out all of our name brand mattress selections, and we'll figure out all of the long-term payment options or best pricing for you. Have a great Memorial Day, guys.
Stop into our newly remodeled mattress gallery today at your local Ashley at 602 West Anthony Drive. Better sleep begins at Ashley.
Tim Culver, owner and president of Classic Plumbing and Air.
A plumber is a person that is well-rounded. They have education, they have experience, and they are versed in more than only one phase of plumbing. A plumber is someone that has experience in all 3 phases, and they understand how all 3 of these plumbing aspects work together as well.
Was in the heating and air conditioning business for approximately 30 years and then retired in 2021. So I came out of retirement because I'm very big on taking care of our local community. The most satisfying part of my job is when I know that I've done the right thing for the customer, taking care of the customer's happy, and when I walk out the door that I'm not afraid to put a sign out in front of their house that says, "This job was done by Chuck Thompson, Classic Plumbing and Air."
Visit them at classicplum.com.
Back on the drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. Derek Piper, Joey Wagner, guest co-hosting today. Curtis Allen on the board and with us as well. And I want to get into an Illini football next question. By the way, if you got a question for Joey, question for us, hit us up, 217-359-2255, Max Twin City Recycling text line. We did have a 217 say Rodgers and Nola would make sense. Nola equals weird place. Rodgers equals weird dude. I've not been to New Orleans. It does seem like an interesting place. Have you been down there before?
I have not.
Curtis?
I have been through there. I have not stopped there, so I don't know if there's Hayabuska there or not. I have no idea, but it might be a cool place for Rodgers.
Could be.
Hey,
Bourbon
they play
Street.
inside. I think they got some help on the skill.
Chris Olave, yeah.
I mean, if I'm picking a place as a quarterback in the twilight of my career, that seems
pretty solid.
Seems like it could be a
Kamara
spot.
still a thing? I mean,
as far as I'm aware,
I don't know if he'll play a full 16, but who else do they have at wide receiver beyond Olave? I don't know that off the top of my head, but that's a good place to start, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I think indoors too. I mean, that I know Aaron Rodgers just in listening to him when that was part of my daily routine is to understand what he was saying. He always really spoke highly of Mike Tomlin, so I think if you talk about the draw,
and they got Metcalf now.
Yeah, Rashid Shaheed, Brandon Cooks, the other 2 wide receivers, Juwan Johnson at tight end. So
and you get Alan Lazard wherever Aaron shows up.
That's right. Yeah, he'll be there. Devontae Adams is not part of that.
Correct.
That deal anymore. So, I mean, I don't know that New Orleans is loaded at skill position, but, man, being inside, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, there's some appeal there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And still has been, for a while at least, a pretty decent defense. So
Yeah, who knows? Like, here's the thing: are we going to know what Aaron Rodgers is going to do before the 4th of July? Like, can anyone? Who knows?
No.
Yeah.
No. No.
He's going to make
likes
it a show.
It.
Yeah,
he likes it.
He does.
He likes the attention. He likes it, and that's all right. He's a superstar. I get it, but no, I don't think so.
Probably not.
No,
I do think he'll go to Pittsburgh, though.
I feel like at this point it's a short list of teams, right?
Yeah.
It's Pittsburgh, or I don't even know if New Orleans is invested in that being a possibility, but otherwise, where are you going?
Is that drama with him and Tomlin real? Do you think that like the stories that were out there a couple months ago about Tomlin wanted him? No, I don't want. Like, what do you make of that, Pipes? Did you see any of that stuff?
I didn't see a lot of that. I did see is it Cam Hayward that came out and was kind of like, let's know now, Aaron. We're not playing your games. Like, this has to be something that you're in or you're out type of deal. But I'm not sure. I think I've seen some of what Joey's pointed to of Aaron having respect for Tomlin and that being something that they've speculated on. But
yeah,
I'm not sure. I could see Tomlin being similar to Hayward, being like, hey, either you're in or maybe we're not going to deal with your stuff.
The hard part is, I mean, if you were going to pivot into setting yourself up reasonably for someone else, you would have had to have probably done that by draft night. Now it's just it's Rodgers, or who do they have at this moment in time? Is there an obvious that I'm?
Yeah, I know there was talk
Mason Rudolph
before free agency. Yeah, right.
Well, who did they draft? They drafted a quarterback. Who did they end up drafting? If only there were a device in front of me right now before I ask that question. I want to say it was the
they did get one, didn't they?
I want to say Dylan Gabriel.
Will Howard. It was Will Howard.
Will Howard.
Will
Okay.
Howard.
Will
right
Howard's
now
the
they have Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, Skylar Thompson.
That feels like Will Howard's team, though. Then on that list.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
no doubt. You got to go Will Howard. Mason Rudolph ain't happening.
You look at what they've got, though. Jalen Warren. I think Caleb Johnson. We're going to talk to Scott Docterman later on today, in a half hour. Caleb Johnson's a good running back. DK Metcalf, Robert Woods, Calvin Austin, Pat Freiermuth. There's options there too, right? I mean, I don't think that's a team that you would look at as like, boy, they don't have it. That you get a quarterback, whatever Aaron Rodgers is offering at this stage in his career on the football field, and you might have something there.
There have been too many years here recently. I think they got for a while last year front end. Justin Fields played well enough for them to win. Wilson gave them a decent run until kind of the wheels fell off a little bit towards the end of the season. At least just didn't play at the level where them to be a real noisemaker going into the playoffs. You factor that into the twilight years of Ben Roethlisberger. Like, Tomlin's got to want to have, and look, maybe Rodgers isn't that guy anymore. I think there are people questioning that based on how he played with the Jets. But if he's healthy and if they don't need it, I wouldn't say don't need a ton out of him, but he doesn't have to be your whole team. Like, the Jets defense wasn't nearly what people thought it would be, and the offensive line was shoddy. I think it would be a good situation for Rodgers to play decent football. That should be a playoff team. So he needs it. Why would Tomlin, who's a highly respected coach, go into a year and like, Mason Rudolph or what, 4th, 5th round pick, Will Howard, I'm guessing. Then that's what we got.
Yeah, I mean
they got to make it happen.
Your kind of chips all in here.
Yeah,
and it just feels like it's a perfect landing spot whenever that comes up.
Let's get into now. We could spend more time on Aaron Rodgers, especially if he was a former Illini, which he could have been. Apparently, he
could have been.
Came out and said that.
I actually read a book about him on one of the flights to, I don't remember where we were going, Derek, and yeah, that was the thing.
It's a real thing.
That was the thing.
He went to a camp here in Champaign, wanted an offer from Turner, and he didn't get one.
Yeah, and ended up kind of a long path on his way to where he is. But yeah, it's an interesting what if, isn't it?
Yeah, how many Illini fans would be buying ayahuasca and big fans of Joe Rogan? And we might have that anyway. All right, different show. My bad. All right, let's get into some of these questions that I have drummed up for us today. Curtis, do we have John Gross on the hot board? I know Kyle put him in there.
Man, let me.
If it might say next question or Gross, or if it's not there, we won't worry about it. We'll just do it without John today. Let's get into the next question here. My first one, gentlemen, rank the 3. That's not a question; it's more of a statement. But rank the 3 biggest wins of Brett Bielema's tenure.
Number one for me, I don't think this is recency bias. Number one for me has to be South Carolina because it was for what it meant, right? It was, hey, this is a program that can be in this college football tier. And to go and beat an SEC opponent for the first time, to cap off that kind of season, to kickstart what has been a very hype train of an offseason for Illinois football, I think just what that win meant to come through that Big Ten schedule, to really put on a pretty good show in Orlando and ride that wave into the offseason. It has to be that one. Number two, it didn't mean as much in the big picture of a season, but for him to go into Penn State and win that 9 overtime game the way that he did kind of showed that, okay, this guy's a pretty good coach. I mean, I think a lot of people who followed Brett Bielema and the success he had knew that, but to see him come into Champaign and go into a place that you think, boy, is Illinois football going to win at Penn State? Really? What a joke that must be. To go in there and do that showed what was possible. Again, it didn't put him in a bowl game that season, but it really allowed you to think that this guy could do something with the roster that really he inherited. And he ultimately, a talented one, all right, let's not mistake that, but ultimately took that and has gone where he's gone. And the third is a tough one. I don't know that I have a no doubt third. I mean, the beating Michigan at home this season was, even if it didn't catapult the program into some level, what it meant for the people in Champaign-Urbana to have that breath of fresh air, to see a big marquee win on your own field and to beat Michigan, and all the celebration for the 100 years that went into it, that one would maybe be, do I really have two of my top three coming from one season? I'm thinking back to 2022. I don't know that, there are options down the stretch. You get into that November stretch and, if you beat a Michigan State, or if you beat, who was the other home loss that
you lost
season?
to Purdue.
Lost to Purdue.
Chance to win the West.
You beat one of those two teams, and you find yourself playing in Indianapolis and as the Big Ten West champions, and that'd be on this list. But I think that Michigan one meant a lot to a lot of people in town. So, yeah, two of them are going to come from this past season.
It's a 10-win season. Big one for a reason.
Yeah. You got any that stick out, either one of you two? Any that stick out that
I got a list. So my list is a little different than yours. I do start it with South Carolina. I mean, the Citrus Bowl, and we had the in-game drama with Beamer, which was awesome. And that really catapulted. I think winning that game is not the only reason, because you got the retention, you got Altmaier, you've got a 10-win team that had to win 9 other games to be able to get there. But I think that is the biggest driver of all the preseason hype for this season in terms of nationally being thought to be a top 15 team, and you beat a very good SEC team that had arguments. You had people
they should have been in the playoff,
pounding the table for them being in the playoff. So,
and if you lose that game, you can nitpick the schedule a little bit, right? Well, they lost to Penn State. Well, they went to Oregon and comfortably lost. And the Michigan wasn't what Michigan had been, and Kansas ultimately ended up like you could have. If someone wanted to, they could have gone in there with a fine-tooth comb and said, well, hold on a minute. But to beat a team that a lot of people really believe should have been in the playoffs, Derek, I'm sorry for cutting you off. I think that goes into it as well. That's a good point.
Absolutely. And honestly, I feel like I'd be nitpicking the defense a lot more if not for that performance. I feel like that gave a lot of confidence into a unit that had some we were mid-season. Was it not? You covered this on a daily basis, Joey. Was it not drumming up again the Aaron Henry conversation middle of last year, and whether it was fair or not, but I think we wanted to see real improvement, and there was that down the stretch, post that Purdue game where you give up 50 to a third-string quarterback, but to face a good South Carolina offense with a really, really talented quarterback, and they were a huge reason you win that game because of holding up and doing what they did. So I think that's something that I would have probably been questioning a lot more going into this upcoming season. We got plenty of time to do all the nitty-gritty of this upcoming season, but that was a big performance for that unit as well.
Yeah, and you look at Lenore Sellers as the guy who, if you look at the way too early mocks, is a top 10, top 15 type of guy, and the way that Illinois kept him in check. I thought that was a huge challenge, given he was kind of everything in quarterbacks that Illinois had struggled with to that point. Quarterback who could move, a quarterback who had the big arm and could make life hard for you, and I thought they handled that really, really well. And I don't know that the Henry conversation was as loud as obviously 2023 got, but that Purdue game was a lot of sweating. And then again, if you really want to get into it, you can say, well, Michigan couldn't throw the ball, right? And you could go down the line, and Oregon had a field day on Illinois and pretty much everybody. Really, until the college football playoff. So you could throw that out if you want to. But yeah, I think that game gave you a lot of confidence in what that defense can be going into the season. I think the defense can be really good going into this season. And that one, seeing what they did against a South Carolina team as talented and as hot really as it was, that did do a lot of heavy lifting.
I ended up putting Michigan 2. Now, that it's hard to argue. And Penn State was, 7th or 9th in the country. They were a top 10 team. You were, a 21-point at least underdog on the road in State College that first year. And that really was a statement win for Bielema. I think it maybe is even more in the baking in, but let me set the scene of why. I think, number one, it's just Michigan.
Right.
You're 24-72 all time against Michigan. You hadn't beaten them in more than a decade. It was 15 years, I think. You go back to 2009 when you beat them. That was a Rich Rod team, or was that a Brady Hoke? Either one. It was nowhere close to where Michigan had been, as they were just the reigning national champions. I think because CBS was here, when you do that, you do the exposure for the program. You're on national TV. You got Danielson and Nessler in town.
A-plus broadcast.
A-plus.
Plus. It was incredible.
You got like the field it's just all of it. You're doing the rededication. You're wearing the cool jerseys. It just was such a moment for Illinois football. I felt like nationally for people to see them and like, hey, they're beating a Michigan team. And I think it adds to it, and maybe fair or not, that Michigan team beat the eventual national champs Ohio State. That Michigan team beat Bama in the bowl game. Like, maybe that win I think it aged better than when you beat them at the time. So I'm going to go 2, and then I'll be quick here before I get to Curtis. 2022 at Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Now that Wisconsin team, Chris ends up getting fired. They still won 7 games. They still went bowling. You not only beat Wisconsin at a place that's a program you've been trying to be for a long, long time here, or at least my entire life, essentially. Like, you embarrassed them. You had Ben Brusco on that crap, and all that. Like, you embarrassed Wisconsin in Madison, and that felt like, oh, this is different.
Yeah.
And that was that 22 team, obviously, that went and won 8 games. And so that's where I'm at.
That's a good call, because that was a team that really, that game, sorry, Curtis, that game really reset expectations for the 2022 season, because you went in there and out Wisconsin, a team that had done the same thing to you year over year over year, and you go in there and do that. And that had bigger implications on what 2022 ended up being versus Penn State in 2021.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've got the Wisconsin game on my list because it was a statement game. Like, it was fun. Not to quote Theo Epstein, but like for a decade you got, Wisconsin kicking dirt in your face, and to go into their house and smash them into smithereens, my friend, was kind of nice. The Michigan game from last year is the same thing. It was a statement. Like, you keep seeing these things building with what Bielema is doing, and this is real. It's kind of cool. It's, I know we're going to talk Iowa Hawkeye football later a little bit. Like, one of my best friends is a diehard Hawkeye fan, and he always talks about how the natives get restless over Ferentz and this and that. It was like, do you know we would build a statue of Ferentz in Champaign-Urbana outside of Memorial Stadium if a head coach won 8 games every year? And I was like, oh man, there's a chance to have a head coach that wins 8 games every year. We're talking playoffs for the first time. That's pretty cool. But and the last game, sorry to go off on a rant there.
Good.
The last game would be the South Carolina game, because that was like the cherry on top of all of it. Just, as an Illini fan, you're probably waiting for, okay, well, we got to the bowl game. Are we going to get pantsed on national TV or something? But no, not at all. It was so great. It was, to your point, Joey, like, just what a great broadcast it was too.
Yeah, and I remember when South Carolina was the draw, our message boards like, really? Of all the teams, they're not going to have any opt-outs. They're red hot. Are you kidding me? So to go in there and do that, I mean, I don't know that expectations. Illinois football, their social account has posted the game day screenshot of everyone picking South Carolina 1,000 times. At this point, there wasn't a lot of hope that Illinois was going to go in there and win that game. So that it just really felt like they've had their arrival. They could do this, and now it's, hey, maybe they could stay around here, and maybe they could be that team that doesn't just fall off. And that was a huge win for this program.
Pretty great that you got a number of options. I mean, you had a handful of teams last year that were ranked when you beat them. Kansas was one of those. There was another one in there as well. It wasn't Nebraska. It was Kansas. Michigan was ranked at the time, and I think there was one more. But we already got our list here. All right, how about speaking of rankings? If you're looking at this season's schedule, I'll frame this. I'm doing this especially for Joey because Joey's going to be in the press box. To consume this game as a fan, and let's call it either home or road, if you can go to any of the games on the schedule coming up, rank your top 3 that you'd want to be at as a fan for this upcoming Illini football season. I think most lists are going to start with Ohio State because it's a chance to potentially knock off, if not the number 1 team in the country, top 5, top 10. Again, it'd probably be the same type of argument. And even actually, I think have you had more success? No, you've had more success against Ohio State than Michigan. Either one, they're pretty bleak in terms of beating either one of those programs. But that would be,
I think that's a no doubt one.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, the chance to make a memory, a huge statement, rush the field, all of that. And even if it right now looks like a long shot maybe is aggressive, but it would be a pretty big upset that you'd want to take your chance and take your swing.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Ohio State has established itself as a program that any time Ohio State loses, you're getting an alert from whether you're The Athletic or your ESPN or whatever. It's coming across your phone that, hey, get this, Ohio State lost. Can you believe it? Like, they just don't lose in that kind of way. So that if you're Illinois and you got the chance to do that at home, I think that's one.
I put Indiana 2.
Indiana is 2, and that's not – that stadium is not a destination to get to. I'm not trying to dog it. It's just not one that you're putting on your list. Like, I have got to get there in terms of Big Ten stadiums. But that is –
they're packing it, though.
They're packing it. And if you're going to be this year's Indiana, you probably ought to beat last year's Indiana, right? And I know it's a different team, and I know they've lost a lot, but that is an early season game just that can really set the tone for what this season can be. And if Illinois can walk out of Bloomington with the win – suddenly it's like, oh, right. Like they can do this. So that I think that's number 2. I wish the stadium was in a way that was like, hey, if you're going to put one, you've got to get there. Third one is tough for me, Derek, because like USC is the marquee program on the schedule, but I think if Duke is another one for me that is that early season game. They've got their shiny new toy quarterback that they paid a lot of money to, a program that Illinois does a really good job of scheduling programs like 6 years out. They're like, all right, this could be evenly matched. And all of a sudden it's, a Power 5 road game at Duke right now. That's not really what you're looking at. I don't know that I want to take 2 games that are 3 weeks apart. But I do think that's another early season test that you could say, hey, Illinois football, all right. I'm personally excited to go to Duke and kind of look around and see what they've got there. But I am open to options for number 3.
I've always wanted to see a game at Camp Randall, so I think even though expectations and also just excitement at Wisconsin are down, it's a later season, and they have just a gauntlet of a schedule this year. They might be out and chanting fire Luke Fickell if that thing goes completely sour. I'm a little biased because I went out there this past year for basketball at Washington.
Ryan Walters.
Oh, yeah.
The Ryan Walters revenge game.
And they do this thing, so their stadium is on the water, right next to the water. I've been told by the locals they do sailgating.
Really?
Instead of tailgating. So,
are you making the trip with us?
I don't. Types? Maybe I should.
You got a friend with a boat out there?
I don't, but I'm going to be friendly. I'm going to hope to make friends, right?
A friend with a boat. You need a friend with a boat.
The Drive with Tay and Piper live from Seattle. Lon will get you on a boat in 15 minutes, I promise
will get you.
Definitely.
On a boat. Yep.
He'll get you on a boat. He might get you a steak in the boat. That guy's you'll party out there.
I would think.
I'm excited about that, and the Walters storyline is back, and that's a fun one to go into because he's kind of, I don't want to say he's got Illinois' number, but he does a pretty good job when Illinois is on the other sideline.
Curtis, you got any different order for any of these? You pretty much in line with us?
USC is the top one for me. I just think that's going to be such a fun atmosphere.
Homecoming.
Homecoming. Yeah, it's going to be a fun atmosphere over homecoming.
Dre Brown revenge game.
That could be a list. The list of revenge games. Are there any other revenge games? Because I want to put those on the list.
Recruiting staffer revenge game is really, really going down the line of chips on the shoulder.
What did Western do to Illinois?
Yeah.
Probably nothing.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, why not? Why not? Because no one's going to pick Western. I'll put Western because it's the first game. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say the Illini win right now. Pipes. You can take that to the bank.
Right.
But the Ohio State game, like that atmosphere is always fun. And I remember one of my best memories from an Illinois game was the 2012 season. And so that's the Monty Ball team and Illinois being up a touchdown and should have been up 2 touchdowns and back-to-back TDs called off the board. And, of course, J.J. Watt and that defense, they hold, and Illinois lost by a score. But it was that – anyways, I'd like to be there for that atmosphere. Again, I'm talking all over the place right now.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be awesome, yeah.
I think
Ohio State. I was thinking of Ohio State and Wisconsin,
Yeah.
so I'm sorry about that.
Let's do them
Wisconsin's, both. Yeah, let's do them both. Wisconsin will also be on the list, too. So,
I think that – can we get the Beamer Bielema dust-up with Signetti in Bloomington? Like, Signetti's a fiery dude.
I feel like those fireworks are going to come on like a random Tuesday presser where Signetti's going to say something and Bielema's going to.
You think? Yeah.
I think if there's going to be anything there, that has got some pregame firework potential versus because I know both of those two are very in tune to what the other program. I know Bielema is very in tune to press conferences throughout the course of game week, and I would imagine Signetti knows what is being said about his program. So if there's even the smallest slight from either side of Bloomington or Champaign, I think you've got a lot of rebuttal potential and like, all right, we're going to go to Smith Center. It's a Thursday Bielema availability. Let's see what's going on with the injuries. And wait a minute, Curt Signetti said what? And like, if there's one, it's going to be pregame for that one, I think.
You said pregame. That's another reason why I got Indiana number 2, because pregame spots at Indiana.
Are you guys you going to do the drive live
We should.
from Bloomington?
We should. Bloomington's got a lot of fun places to go. Nick's, Kilroy's. Yeah.
Been there a time or two.
Maybe I've been there. Yeah.
Good pizza at Nick's.
Yes.
Not sure about
Sink the
anything else,
biz.
but I know the pizza's good.
Sure. All right, we're up against it. How about time for one more? Luke Altmaier. Kyle and I discussed this last week. We did through some lists of where he's at in the Big Ten. I feel like if I ask you true or false, he's a top 5 quarterback in the league. That's a cop-out. That's too easy. How about top 3?
He's a top 3 returning quarterback in the Big Ten. But what are you going to get from some of these younger? Like, am I to believe Ohio State's not going to have? Justin Sane, is he going to be in that conversation? Dante Moore at Oregon. That is a lot.
Bryce Underwood.
Yeah, well, yeah.
He's talented enough, right?
He is.
Yeah.
Top 3 is just enticing enough to take it, but it feels weird to say it.
Feels like a good line, though, right?
It's a really, really good line for Luke. He's unquestionably, I think, a top 5 quarterback. I think everyone's going to have Drew Aller. Nationally, he's going to be number 1. I think Luke Altmaier is a better playmaker than Drew Aller, but Drew Aller he's a big, tall guy. He's got the arm. He's got a ton around him. They did the whole return all your really good players thing too at Penn State, outside of obviously Abdul Carter who went, but like their running backs are both back. I think that's really significant. I think you got to see more from what they've got at wide receiver, which you say that because that factors into how you look at quarterbacks in terms of production. I don't know. I'm going to stick in top 5. I'm going to let you battle it out mentally if you think he's a top 3.
I think from an experience standpoint and a statistic, well, it's hard with the wide receivers you're losing, but I'm going to buy it. I'm going to say top 3. I'm going to say the young guys maybe need a year before they fully click. Now that we haven't seen true freshmen do it before.
I mean, hey, look, we got to put UCLA in this conversation now.
Nico, yeah.
I mean, I don't know if he's going to –
And Raiola gets a chance at year 2.
Yeah, I think I'm really interested to see what he does year 2 at Nebraska and how that goes, because he could be a guy that he might be 5 or 6 on a lot of lists, and by the end of the season you're like, yeah, probably a little too low on that guy.
Yep. All right, last word. Curtis, yes or no?
Top 1, my friend.
There it is.
There you go.
Yep. Man of the people. All right, Scott Docterman coming up next, The Athletic. Stick around for that. It is The Drive.
You've set your financial goals. One kid plans to go Big Ten, the other Ivy. Your bucket list includes seaside sunrises and sunsets on the slopes, or perhaps a second home away from it all. Busey Bank can help develop the right investment strategy to take charge of the years ahead. Busey Bank, Building business, growing wealth since 1868. Proud to be the official bank of the Fighting Illini. Member FDIC.
We're talking to John Reichert from A&R Mechanical. 100 years in our community. So many buildings in this town, like Memorial Stadium. Of course, the State Farm Center. Can you remember the reaction from the company getting that? Because that's a big one.
Oh, that was huge. If you just think about it a little bit, everything we put in is straight, pipe is straight. We're putting all that into a round building. And, it took a lot of know-how to make that project happen. It was one of the first projects we did using our new technologies. And the timing was just right. We were the right people for that project, and I think we did it successfully.
The legacy of A&R. John, I could almost say, what haven't you built? Up and down campus, the Siebel Center was fairly new for computer science.
Everybody was working as a team, and I think it came out very well.
A&R Mechanical has helped build Carl at the Fields expansion and other Carl projects in Provena and Sarah Bush Lincoln. The list goes on and on. Visit them at ar-mech.com.
Spring is here, and as the weather heats up, the sports action heats up at Circus Sports Illinois. From baseball to basketball to hockey, Circus Sports has it all. Circus Sports Illinois isn't just sports betting, it's sports betting the way it should be. High betting limits, tight money splits, and exceptional customer service. Whether you're looking for playoff futures or props on your favorite players and more, Circus Sports has you covered. Download the Circus Sports Illinois app or visit circusports.com today. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey, all you backyard chefs and grill gurus, barbecue season is here, and I know that you're anxious to fire up that smoker or grill, but your yard needs mowed. Yes, your wife is getting hangry, but that grass isn't going to cut itself. What's an aspiring pitmaster going to do? Get the world's fastest mower, of course, a Dixie chopper from Dedicated Diesel in Urbana. They carry a full line of Dixie choppers from the Z2 and Magnum residential models up to the big Excalibur and classic commercial machines that can mow nearly 8 acres an hour. This is award-winning competition pitmaster Tim Onstott, and whether I'm cooking low and slow or hot and fast, I always have time to savor the flavor because my mowing time is cut down by Dixie Chopper, the world's fastest mower. Get your Dixie Chopper at Champaign-Urbana's only dealer, Dedicated Diesel, at 1313 Triumph Drive in Urbana, 217-328-0562.
At ABC Heating and Air, it's our promise to help you always be comfortable. Do you need rescued because you're burning hot? Do you need rescued because your air is shot? Call ABC Heating and Air at 352-5400 and let us rescue you from the heat. ABC Heating and Air, 352-5400. Can't you see you need to call me at ABC? Call ABC Heating and Air. That's ABC Heating and Air, 352-5400.
Mom, she won't stop touching me. Broccoli stinks.
Guys, no phones at the table.
Family dinner time? Not easy. But you know what is easy? OSF On-Call Urgent Care. When you need convenient, affordable care for minor illnesses and injuries, you need OSF On-Call Urgent Care. Be seen in person or connect 24/7 online when and where you need it. Learn more at osfoncall.org/urgentcare.
Sarah Champagne Managing Partner Ben Quattrone on why integrity is important at Sarah.
We hire the person. The person makes the deal. The person makes the department. The person makes everyone around them treat people with courtesy and respect. If you have a quality human being, you can play any position, right? We're talking about sports. They can perform in any department, and I could teach someone a job, but I can't teach them to be a good person.
Learn more at sarahchampagne.com. That's SERRA champagne.com. The sounds of spring and the smell of flowers in the air, they all add up to Spring Green, America's neighborhood lawn care team. They become your favorite through quality service and professionalism. Spring Green will service and maintain your lawnscape with seeding, aeration, fertilizing, disease, and insect control. Over 32 years of satisfied customers reflect their commitment to Champaign-Urbana and the Mattoon-Charleston area. Call Spring Green at 217-359-2111 or online at spring-green.com.
The world is full of famous piles. Stonehenge, a majestic pile of rocks. The Great Pyramids, the Great Wall of China, a truly impressive pile of bricks. And then there's your pile, maybe not so famous. 2 Men and a Junk Truck can remove those not so famous piles of stuff you've collected. 2 Men and a Junk Truck, proudly part of the 2 Men and a Truck family, making space for what matters most. Schedule your pickup at 2menandajuncktruck.com. Use code RADIO25 to save $25 on your next junk removal service.
When the storm rolls in, where will you go? Don't wait until it's too late. Protect your family with a custom storm shelter from Berg Septic and Storm Shelter Services. At Berg Tanks, their shelters are fiberglass and plate steel safe rooms that can be installed in your garage or exterior, in ground, or on a concrete pad. Built to withstand the toughest storms, giving you a safe, secure place when you need it most. Whether you need a compact unit for a small space or a larger shelter for the whole family, they've got you covered. Their expert team handles everything from excavation to installation so you can have peace of mind before the next storm strikes. Berg Septic also specializes in septic pumping, new system installation, grease trap cleanings, repairs, and maintenance plans to keep your home running smoothly. Call Berg Septic and Storm Shelter Services today at 217-367-8632 or visit them online at bergtanksinc.com. That's bergtanksinc.com. You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
It is The Drive with Dane Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. Derek Piper, Joey Wagner, Curtis Allen here with you. Let's talk some more college football, shall we? And we'll go to the Tapman's Towing phone line. Scott Docterman, national college football reporter for The Athletic, joining us now. Scott, how you doing? Thanks for joining us.
Oh, I'm doing great, man. Here we are in the middle of May and nice weather, and we're still a few months away from football, so we can enjoy a little bit of summer, so I'm doing all right. How about you guys?
We're doing great. Are you a baseball fan at all, or is that football itch going to really be persistent for you for a few months?
I'm hit and miss on baseball. I kind of slowed a little bit. I grew up, unfortunately, I know you're a Cardinals station. I grew up on the other side, Cubs. But that said, I mean, I watch it. I pay attention to it, but it's just not. I'm not totally invested in it. Let's put it that way.
Well, Scott, I know you were in Champaign earlier this spring, a story on Illinois football you had last week on The Athletic. What'd you learn about Illinois on your brief trip? I think you actually came through probably on your way to the Combine. What'd you learn about the Illini?
Yeah, I learned quite a bit, actually. I mean, I think that when you look at Illinois and you look at it from a little bit different perspective, you guys are there each and every day, but you see how Brett has built the program and the ways he's built it, and it's real similar to how he did it at Wisconsin and how it's worked, but how it also has to be a little bit different than what he formerly did. And I think the fact that he kind of alluded to, you've got to do it in a transfer portal era, and you've got to be, you don't have an overflowing amount of money either, so you've got to learn how to budget it, but also how to convince players that it's in their best interest to continue to work towards something at that campus. And then now, as he always says, that'll be the cheapest or the smallest contract you'll ever sign. And it makes a lot of sense there. And I think with having, 16 full-time starters returning and a couple others who played a lot, I mean, Illinois has the backbone of a team that's very much competitive for the college football playoff. I mean, you have it at the key positions: quarterback, left tackle, corner, pass rusher, and then you sprinkle in, almost the entire offensive line returning, and just about everywhere, but maybe defensive line and receiver seems to be a real boon for the Illini. So I think, based on what you had in the spring up front on defense and receiver trying to replace Pat Bryant, I mean, I think the Illini are right there in a very competitive situation to go from 10 to 11 wins. And if that happens, then they'll be in the they'll be in the playoff.
How weird is this to talk about, Scott? Because it is, for someone who is, I've only been covering them since 2018, and I would not have believed you in 2018 if you would have said this is within the next decade. But this is a different feel for Illinois football. How odd is this to come to grips with what Brett Bielema has built and relatively, 5 years is a long time in transfer portal era, but I mean, it's still, he did this thing pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think after what happened in Indiana last year, it's one of those where you don't get too surprised, because that was a program I never would have believed that would have gotten to that point, and they did. But I do think with Illinois, what has to get battled, and I'm sure all of your listeners and readers all understand, is that there's been that ebb and flow where you have a really good year and the expectations are fairly high, and then a fall off. Happened a couple years ago when one game away from winning the West Division title and then go 5-7. I remember covering the team with Juice Williams and Aurelius Ben and how good they were, and went to the Rose Bowl the next year 5-7. And so they've got to kind of make sure that they take it to another level, and it's not just a complacency, which I didn't see that from the players. I saw a pretty strong commitment. So I think it's unusual, because it's Illinois, and you expect them to, they're going to fall apart as usual. But really, I think with Brett, with the way he's built this team and with the players coming back, I think it's built to withstand that kind of disappointment. Doesn't mean that they can't lose close games, which I think they're capable of doing, because a lot of teams are that way in the Big Ten. But I think they're very competitive right there to be in the race throughout most of the season.
Scott, obviously to be a college football playoff contender, you need Luke Altmaier under center there. And was this on your radar? It was very much for a little bit there with Illini fans that, Tennessee loses Nico Iamaleava. Am I saying that right? I did not definitely say that right.
Yeah.
But for Nico to leave, they were pretty, it wasn't necessarily that, reporters putting it out there, but there was buzz that they were trying to hunt for another guy and that Luke was somewhere on the list. Like,
high on the list. He was high on the list.
This is a loaded question, Scott, but is that something that came across your radar? And do you think this is something that we'll see going forward more, in the spring off seasons of this being, one big domino moves, and then watch out if you're next in line to maybe get your guy poached?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be part of it, and that's why there's got to be super communication between staff and players and general managers and agents. It's not just going to be, the one-way street, unilateral communication. It's all inclusive with a lot of different people. And, now I can't speak to maybe what Luke was thinking or discussing once Nico Iamaleava decided to leave over for UCLA, and the thought of going to Tennessee, but he was pretty adamant that he didn't have any interest in leaving and going anywhere else, that he felt like this team was poised to do something special, and he wanted to do it. And then he was thrilled about doing it at a place that hasn't really had a lot of success. So he could tell that the buzz of the community is really high for this team and what it's accomplished and what it's capable of accomplishing. And he wants to be a part of that. And he had great success as a quarterback with, four games or 3 games he threw a touchdown pass or in final minute or overtime to win, and 4 top 25 teams. He feels like it's capable of moving forward. So I never thought that he would do that unless Tennessee came up with an offer that you can't refuse. But that's going to be something that everybody's going to have to watch each and every year, because things like this can happen.
Scott Docterman is our guest on the Tapman's Towing phone line, national college football writer for The Athletic. Scott, we all love lists unless they disrespect our guy, then we hate them. There's been, of course, anybody that's doing this, a lot that come out in terms of way too early or preseason. And on the note of quarterback, what do you think is fair for where Luke Altmaier is? We talked about this in last segment. Is he a top 3 quarterback in the Big Ten? Drew Allers is pretty widely considered the top guy. Where do you think that Luke falls? There are plenty of options, obviously, when you're going around. Dylan Raiola, some of the young guys coming in, Nico obviously in the conference now. What do you think is, in your mind, for Luke, a fair grade on that?
I would start him right now. I mean, I think he is the second best quarterback returning in the Big Ten, based on how he performed last year and what he's been able to do. This is a strange year for a lot of reasons at quarterback, because you've got some incoming transfers who are more than capable of doing something at a big level. Fernando Mendoza at Indiana, Mark Gronowski at Iowa. Iowa finally got a quarterback. Nico Iamaleava at UCLA is loaded with talent. Can he put it all together? And then you've got some shuffling around. Billy Edwards going to Wisconsin, but then there's also the young players that haven't played or are just coming in that are highly talented that you just kind of wonder, what are they going to do? I mean, Bryce Underwood, number 1 recruit in the country at Michigan, Julian Sayin, almost the same way as a redshirt freshman. I wouldn't be surprised if by the time the Illini play USC, if Houston Longstreet is the starter at USC, and Dante Moore kind of basically took a redshirt year to back up Dylan Gabriel at Oregon. So there's a ton of really good quarterbacks. There's a few that are coming back. So it's hard to see where they shake out. I think DeMond Williams, by the way, Washington may be a breakout star too. And then you mentioned Drew Aller, and he kind of captained. He was a really good player, captained one of the better teams in the country, went to the Final Four in football, but in the big moments, he fell short. Against Ohio State, Oregon, and Notre Dame. I mean, he had opportunities to win or tie those games and threw interceptions at very critical junctures. So I think it's all open, and it's a matter of how does Luke Altmaier handle some of these games. Duke is going to be a really good game on the road for Illinois. They won 9 games last year. Ohio State, we all know, at home, Game 7. USC and Indiana early. I think we're going to know by midseason whether the Illini are going to be poised to compete into December, maybe in Champaign, or if it's or even have a bye, or if this has been kind of a disappointing year for him and for the team. But I think he's right there, in the top quartile in the Big Ten going into the season, no question.
Scott, obviously we know most of your coverage from previously with everything you do and covered at Iowa, but you've got a really good pulse on the Big Ten. I know that's where you focus a lot of your energy now. Is there a big Big Ten storyline that you're thinking of football-wise going in? Quarterbacks would have to be one, just in everything that you mentioned, the young guys, a couple of the returners and the transfers. But is there something you're really monitoring in terms of what you're most eager to see out of the Big Ten this football season?
It would definitely be quarterback. You're absolutely right. I mean, you mentioned those guys, whether it's Bryce Underwood, a freshman at Michigan, Julian Sayin, a redshirt freshman at Ohio State. I mean, those are places that have had success with younger quarterbacks over the years, and I kind of would expect them to do that. But I think what's fascinating to me is there are probably 6, 7, maybe even 8 teams that have a real shot at the playoffs. And there's some really interesting crossover games. I mean, we all look at the top. Penn State's kind of getting their love because of basically who they're returning as number 1. Ohio State, you can never dismiss them. Michigan, I think last year they were a quarterback away. They looked an awful lot like Iowa over the years, with a $1 million defense and a 10-cent offense. But I think you start to go down a little bit, in prestige, I suppose. Illinois is right there. Indiana still returns a heck of a team. Iowa, I think, will be really good. Oregon, of course, should be more in the top 4 there as well. And a couple others. Can Nebraska take that next step? What about Washington? For some reason, I really think that they're going to be exciting to this year. And will USC come back, or is this going to be, it for Lincoln Riley, just to be a marginal program? So there's so many different storylines within that. But I think can the Big Ten have an encore on the field, whether it's winning the national championship or putting a bunch of teams in the playoff? And how do the quarterbacks perform? Because if those quarterbacks younger ones play at a high level, then this conference is going to be as good or better than it was last year. And obviously last year was the best in the country.
Well, I can't not ask about Iowa football. What is the vibe around Iowa City with this team? And obviously, as you mentioned, a new quarterback. Where are things at there?
Yeah, there's a lot of optimism, I think, especially with kind of what we saw in the spring. I was there a couple of times when I had a chance, and the offense looks different. It's not the same Brian Ferentz offense, meaning it actually moves the ball sometimes, but But they have a really good offensive line. Last year was one of the best. In fact, it was the second. They averaged the second most rushing yards under Kirk Ferentz, and they returned their two best offensive linemen. They obviously do not have Caleb Johnson, who's with the Steelers, but they have some really good running backs. And the receivers finally look like they can get open once in a while and catch passes. But ultimately, it's going to come down to quarterback. And Mark Gronowski has won 49 career games. At South Dakota State was the FCS Player of the Year in 23, 2 national championships, every statistic you'll ever want. If he can make that step forward and actually lead Iowa to wins rather than just sacrificing, just hoping and your defense holds teams, if he can actually lead them to wins, it's going to be a completely different vibe. And it's almost, I can kind of use the expression, it's like, Happy learned to putt if Iowa can actually do something on offense. And I think they're capable of it with Mark Gronowski.
A few more minutes here with Scott Docterman, The Athletic, on the Tapman's Towing phone line. Let's switch sides here and go hoops. You could talk Big Ten basketball in this town probably any day of the year. And I want to ask you about, it's a really interesting storyline on the basketball side with Iowa. Ben McCollum, very successful coach, taking over there for Fran McCaffery, get Bennett Sturts following his path and graded out as a top 5 transfer in this past cycle. So what do you think is the excitement level, and what do you think maybe should be early expectations for Iowa men's basketball, a program that it hasn't been that long that Fran had some exciting teams and even as high as a 2 seed not too long ago in the NCAA tournament, but seemed like interest and attendance in particular were waning down the stretch?
Yeah, it's been an interesting go for the last, whatever it is, month and a half since Ben McCollum took over for Fran McCaffery, because the players that they've been able to pick up fill roles, and his style and what he wants to put together at Iowa is so vastly different than what Fran McCaffery had that it's going to take time for people to adjust, but not the team, because now they only have one returning guy, and that's Cooper Koch, who is from your neck of the woods, Peoria, and he redshirted last year, so he's able to fit that role. But it's going to be a new roster. 5 guys from Drake come in. They picked up Brennan Hoosen from Kansas State, he's a really good outside shooter. Alvaro Garis from Robert Morris was a conference player of the year. So they're putting together a roster that fits what he wants to do, and he is a tremendous coach. We saw him, the way he was in the tournament there. This is going to be a vastly different vibe. Now, what Iowa needed to do more than shake things up on the floor was shake things up with the fans, and because it had grown really stale in Iowa. And Fran just did a lot of good things. Obviously, he's won more games than any other coach in Iowa history, but energizing the fan base wasn't among them, and he wasn't the type to go out and try to rally the supporters and get them there. And we saw attendance reach its lowest levels since 1964, and this was a team that still had a winning record. It wasn't good, but it wasn't a bad team necessarily. And so, but a change needed to be made in leadership. And I think Ben McCollum has really reached back. He grew up an Iowa fan, which we didn't know until his press conference. And I think he's done a nice job thus far of kind of getting things going. We'll find out, through the first few weeks of the season how far this team is, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him be very competitive, because Bennett Sturts is going to be a heck of an addition for them at point guard.
Last one for you, Scott, before we let you go. Caitlin Clark, what's her level of celebrity in Iowa State? Is she the most famous Iowa athlete? I could easily be missing somebody here, but fill me in. Is she the most famous athlete of all time at Iowa?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, maybe Tori Ewing, won the WWE championship a few years ago. The Big E might be there, but no, I mean, Iowa's had Hall of Fame football players, some great basketball players over the years. Luka Garza scored 2,000 points. They're nothing compared to Caitlin Clark. I mean, her level of celebrity is off the charts, and I mean, the only entity that's as big as Caitlin Clark is Iowa football. And I mean, it's bigger, but still, it's just, she is the straw that stirs the drink and has been for a while. And so when she came back here a couple weeks ago for an exhibition game, it was just unbelievable. It was back to what it was like her last year, where it was like a rock star walking into the places. And so, yeah, she is the she's the biggest sports celebrity I think we've had in Iowa City, and I don't say that lightly. I've been around the program for a long time, but she's got a different vibe to her.
It was Taylor Swift. I covered Illinois women were over there her senior year, and it got to be like 5 or 6 minutes, Scott, and where the media sits at basketball games, you're right by the tunnel, and dozens of kids just ran over. I'm like, there's still 6 minutes left in this game, and these poor ushers like, hey, please go away for a little bit longer here. And I've never seen anything like it, and she seemed to wear it really, really well. But yeah, Rockstar is right. I mean, it was holy smokes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was just off the charts that final year, as you said, Joey. I mean, it would build up like you get close in between the second to last and last media timeout. There would be kids coming there, and I could still hear the squeals of Caitlin. All these kids just rushing her. And some of those games, I mean, like the Michigan game where she set the record, or the Ohio State game, which was her home finale in the regular season. I mean, there were literally thousands of people around her, from the tunnel, crowding around the court. I mean, it was something else. And but she changed the game. I mean, the one thing she did that I don't think any athlete has ever done, especially a female athlete, is boys wear her T-shirts proudly in Iowa. I mean, you've never seen that before, where boys, 10-year-olds, will take shots. I've heard this anecdotally where a kid made a three and shrugged his shoulders, and his dad asked him, "Hey, is that for Jordan?" He goes, "No, Caitlin Clark." I mean,
Wow.
Who would have thought that a girls athlete or female athlete would be cool for boys? But she has certainly done that.
It's cool in this job to see kind of these moments happen. You know what I mean? I mean, you go back to Caitlin's freshman year. I don't know if you would have thought it was going to be what it was, but to watch these moments and this celebrity grow over the course of time, it's one of the fun parts about covering college athletics, honestly.
Oh yeah, I mean, as you know, it's all about getting to know them as people. But then when you see this phenomenon and how it grows out of just it's really off the charts. It's amazing, and the way she was able to maintain her personality and despite all the challenges she continues to go through, whether she just kind of hacks at a ball and gets called with a flagrant the other day and has Angel Reese wanting to fight her. I mean, it's not going to end, but she's maintained her cool throughout it. She's so far beyond all of us in the way she's made up. I think she'll be the first billionaire female athlete. I think she's just smarter than everybody else and has more charisma than everybody else.
Great stuff. Scott Docterman on the Tapman's Towing phone line. Really appreciate your time and insights. Enjoy the start and the rest of your summer, and we'll be looking forward to your coverage on the Athletics. So thanks, man.
Yep. Look forward to seeing you guys out in Vegas.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. Looking forward to that trip if you could believe it.
Talk to you later, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
Yeah.
Scott Docterman on the Tapman's Towing phone line. Really appreciate his time and really got to tackle a lot there.
He's so good. He is so good. Like I when I first got into covering Illinois, he was mostly Iowa, covering Iowa, and he was does such a good job for that. And you've seen him grow and take a step more into the more full Big Ten picture. Fun story before we get to a break. He was the one who really helped guide me through setting up the Tate Award for Lauren Tate that we award to the top athlete. They do a good job with it at Iowa, and Scott pointed me in the direction of what to do and how to do it. And good guy, he gets it, and it's always nice to talk to people who kind of can zoom out and understand what we're doing. Like, yes, it's a game, but talking and learning about people is fun. To find like-minded people to do that's a good time.
That's a big deal. I think we should come up with an award for the most deserving media member who had to deal with Fran McCaffrey.
Oh, man. Some of those pressers are kind of awkward, honestly.
They're tough.
I get it. I get losing sucks, and we don't, as a group, always ask very good questions. We don't.
Certainly not.
We've not asked good questions, and we've gotten in the car after a road trip like, man, we really kind of screwed that up, didn't we? And it happens, but he did not have a lot of patience for it or much of anything.
He was angry, and he wasn't going to deal with, trying to play nice. Trying to fill your columns.
He made press conferences like TV timeout length.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I'll catch you later.
Yeah,
Thanks
that's right.
Thanks for swinging through.
If there was a T-shirt with Fran McCaffrey's face on it and a quote that said he was angry, I'd wear it all the time.
It's true.
You've got a gold mine right there, sir.
Yeah, right. That's a good idea.
Sell it.
Money.
Market that.
There's money in the shirts.
There's money in the shirts.
Let's do it. All right, 217-359-2255. You want to weigh in on the Max Twin City Recycling text line. Got to catch a break. We'll be back. This is The Drive.
Oversea Appliances, overpriced tariff-laden goods. Unload quick. We don't have any other choice but to pay the high prices.
Sure we do.
Well, if my eyes don't deceive me, it be Paul Rican from Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. What speak ye about saving money?
At Dick Van Dyke Appliance World, you don't need to worry about overpriced tariff goods. We are stocked with pre-tariff inventory.
You don't need me overpriced appliances from overseas?
Nope, we're good. We even have Speed Queen in stock made right here in the good old Midwest.
You want none of it?
We have 2 warehouses full of pre-tariff inventory and a service department to repair your existing appliance if you want to save even more money instead of buying new.
Well, I'll be. Can I interest ye in me lobster bisque?
Well, it is 9 a.m.
You got to try me lobster bisque.
Okay, all right, I'll get some to go. Take credit card?
With a 5% service charge and sign here for a minimum 30% tip.
Wow. When you buy from us, you get the whole store.
Hi, I'm Tyler Weaver, president of Carpet Weavers Flooring and Furniture Gallery. It's time to come home to Carpet Weavers. We don't want you to just like your new floors. We want you to love them. From waterproof floors and carpet to furnitures and design advice, we've got a team of experts on your side. We'll get you the best price and the best quality products. And complete your home with furniture and accessories. Buy it all with free financing too. Come home to Carpet Weavers, where floors, furniture, and family meet.
Contreras strokes it to right field, and it's a goner!
Kick off your weekend at the ballpark Friday, May 23rd when the Cardinals host the Diamondbacks. 20,000 fans, 21 and older, will take home an all-over print straw hat that's sure to get the summer vibes started, thanks to Budweiser. That's Friday, May 23rd. The Cardinals, the Diamondbacks, and the all-over print straw hat. For tickets and details, visit cardinals.com/promotions.
This is Wilson Contreras, San Luis Cardinals, for the Loop.
Attention all truck drivers looking for a new opportunity with great pay and amazing benefits? Gale Frericks Trucking has got you covered. Join their team, receive a $4,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $4,000 just for coming on board. Plus, enjoy a $1,200 gross weekly pay guarantee. Drive their state-of-the-art Freightliner Cascadia trucks equipped with a revolutionary system designed to reduce weight and downtime. Get home every weekend and some nights during the week with paid vacations and holidays. They offer company-sponsored health insurance and all the benefits you deserve. Regional drivers get first priority. Don't wait. Apply in person at Dedicated Diesel, 1313 Triumph Drive, Urbana, or call Tim at 765-505-1295. That's 765-505-1295. Start your journey today with Gale Frericks Trucking.
Time is running out to get your tickets to the Action Auction supporting literacy in our community with books from Breck as we honor Josh and Hope Whitman at the Champaign Rotaries event coming May 30th at the iHotel. Doors open at 5:30 p.m. Amazing trip experiences and unique opportunities for the Illini fan to bid on. Go to our website now and find out more details at champaignrotary.info.
Jesse with Lands Drain Cleaning. Do you have your sewer line cleaned every year? Are you constantly getting roots or blockages? Why deal with that headache year after year? Call Lands Drain Cleaning today at 217-355-5512 to have our expert staff come out, clean your line. We give you a free camera inspection, show you what's wrong, where it's at, and then we can offer you a repair for that problem so you don't have to deal with it again. Lands Drain Cleaning. Why call anyone else?
Jets is hiring. Call 217-352-9992 or stop into 1907 West Springfield Avenue near Round Barn in Champaign. Jets is open till 10 p.m., Fridays and Saturdays till midnight. Are you looking for a side hustle? Here's Josh from Jets talking about the benefits of doing deliveries.
When I was a delivery driver, it was amazing how much the actual amount of money I had just shot right up. It's hard to describe. You have money in your pocket every single day.
For details on joining the team, visit jetspizza.com.
When the storm rolls in, where will you go? Don't wait until it's too late. Protect your family with a custom storm shelter from Berg Septic and Storm Shelter Services. At Berg Tanks, their shelters are fiberglass and plate steel safe rooms. that can be installed in your garage or exterior, in ground, or on a concrete pad. Built to withstand the toughest storms, giving you a safe, secure place when you need it most. Whether you need a compact unit for a small space or a larger shelter for the whole family, they've got you covered. Their expert team handles everything from excavation to installation so you can have peace of mind before the next storm strikes. Berg Septic also specializes in septic pumping, new system installation, grease trap cleanings, repairs, and maintenance plans to keep your home running smoothly. Call Berg Septic and Storm Shelter Services today at 217-367-8632 or visit them online at bergtanksinc.com. That's bergtanksinc.com.
President of Champaign Rotary, Doug Nelson, with details about the Action Auction May 30th at the iHotel and Conference Center.
This is a fundraiser that we do every 3 years, so it's not an every year thing, and that's important for us because the money that's raised during that event is the fund that we can distribute over the next 3 years. So it's an important milestone for us. Because it's every 3 years, it's a big splash. It's a lot of fun. And this year we are really excited. It's going to be even better than ever because always we honor some, couple, some person who's made a difference in the community. And that's really what this is all about. And this year it's Josh and Hope Whitman, and for their impact in the community that goes far beyond the athletic sphere, their commitment to the community and just raising up and being part of this community in ways that we probably haven't seen before.
For more information, visit champaignrotary.info.
Back on the drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. Enjoyed catching up with Scott Docterman. Man, did I butcher Nico's name. I thought I was kind of brave. I was like, I've been practicing this a little bit. Said it last week on the radio. I said Iamaleava after I stuttered like 3 times, but he said Iamaleava. So
I'm glad it was you because I was Nico.
Dang it! Could have stopped at Nico.
Yeah.
Been easy. Sometimes simpler is better.
Yeah, that's tough. He's got a name that I think at this point, given how that went in Tennessee, if you say Nico, you're probably unless you're in
Nico
Dallas,
Harrison.
Unless you're in Dallas, you probably are in pretty good shape to understand.
That's a great transition. And
it is
unplanned.
Perfect.
Unplanned, really, as we look at there was a new mock draft published today on ESPN. Jonathan Givony, Jeremy Woo, and of course, getting the first pick would be Nico Harrison in the Dallas Mavericks. I haven't had a chance to catch up with you guys about this. I want your opinions as some minds that I respect. Lottery, rigged or not rigged?
I don't think it's rigged, but it's kind of stupid the way it's set up. They should not have. They were a playing team. They shouldn't have the first overall pick. I don't know that it's rigged. I don't know that I put a lot of time into really like getting down to like forming an opinion like, yeah, this is rigged, but it's stupid and certainly coincidental, right? Like you trade Luka and here's a new face. Congratulations for making a terribly dumb trade. You now get Cooper Flag unless you can screw that up too.
I'm too tired for conspiracy theories, man. Maybe, who knows? I mean, it sure is a little odd, right? To Joey's point, like you make the Luka trade, and you had what was it, a 1.8% chance? The
1.8,
1.8, yeah. So if they do draft Cooper, he should wear number 18. Is my nice
I like
segue.
that. Yeah.
I got all sorts of T-shirt and jersey ideas today, man. Between
I could
this
sell.
and Fran McCaffrey, I'm
on it.
Man of the people, as you said earlier.
I did.
Yeah, it's a little odd how that played out, but what can you do?
Yeah, I'm not going to be the guy that makes the 30 for 30, but I am going to sit here on the lazy side of it and be like, this is way too fishy.
It is very fishy. You had a good idea during break, Derek, before we get into where Illinois fits into the first round of the NBA draft. You had a good idea. Go ahead.
Well, see, you brought up that let's do away with the lottery, which I've thought of as well, and I think you can go
Derek
back.
Rose year notwithstanding.
Yeah,
every
right,
other year,
of course.
pitch
Okay.
it.
Yep. Which it is something to be interested in. It does prevent tanking, and I know that Mike Greenberg went on ESPN here recently and said that tanking is the worst form of, outside of probably cheating, but it is very much against the essence of what sport is. You're supposed to be trying to win. You don't need franchises purposely losing. That's bad for the sport. Although at the same time, I think competitive balance has done really well in the NFL. When the worst team in the league gets to take the best quarterback or the best player on the board, that's good for the NFL and balancing it out and having parity. The NFL has a lot of parity. I will give the NBA credit for having more parity here recently than
especially this year, the way the conference finals have shaken out.
No doubt, than what we've been probably more accustomed to not too long ago. But I think that getting, save for, when it's your team drafting Derrick Rose, getting some of those teams to just out of the mix for the first pick. The Wizards should be, the Wizards and even though that's not going to be sexy, the Wizards and the Hornets, like those teams are bad enough. They deserve the first pick. Let's make it like top 5. We talk about like top 5 protected, these type of things. Let's protect the lottery to the top 5. If you're one of the worst 5 teams, you're in the lottery. If you're not, you're starting 6 and on down, and it's in order. That's my idea to ensure that we don't have another one of these where it's like, really, this team was on the, was kind of in the playoffs, kind of not. And I think if this is the Sixers, I don't have as big of a problem, or anybody else that was actually, the Sixers are probably a bad example. They weren't nearly as good this year. It's because of Nico, honestly. It's because you're rewarding a guy that just literally made a very dumb trade and one of the fishiest moves of all time in the NBA. So but I do think the 5 protected is kind of a good idea, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, I don't know that I would be sitting here like, we should trim this down to 3 or 5 if like the Spurs had ended up getting it, or the Sixers to your point. But I don't want to reward such a foolish trade. But I could see the argument to trim it down. Also, like, we're sitting here, Derrick Rose was a huge lottery fortune for the Bulls, but it doesn't feel like the Bulls are sitting on the right side of the ping pong balls when it comes down to. They also haven't put themselves in a position to be on the right side of those by.
True.
Like, if you're talking, they should tank. Like, let's do a little reset here.
Let's get better at this losing thing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, now if the Bulls were a team that's like, all right, they got the 3rd pick, or then I'd maybe be like, let's keep the lottery. They've done okay here, but Rose notwithstanding, it's not really been fortuitous, as I recall, for the Bulls.
Has not. Maybe there was some kind of agreement. You're going to get this first pick when you should have like a 1% or less chance. But as your trade, you're now going to draft 7 through 12 for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Or forever. Yeah, forever.
And you're going to be in NBA purgatory. I hope you don't want a good pick, but you are sure not going to get to the 2nd round. So you let me know. Let us know how you want this to go.
Reinsdorf says we'll take it.
Yeah.
And there it is. All right, let's look at the new intel coming out of post-lottery. You, of course, had the Combine as well, where Kasper Shakachonis, Will Riley did some measuring, some drills. No 5-on-5 for them as expected. But the latest standings for both of those guys, KJ still in the lottery by ESPN's measure. Really everything out there that I've seen outside of The Athletic, you did have, we talked about one of the Memphis Grizzlies' former execs,
John
Hollinger, thank you, wrote that he has him at 18, that he personally wouldn't take KJ in the lottery. But outside of that, all the mocks do still have him there. He's lower than he was a few months ago. He's at 10 now on ESPN to the Rockets, which I think is interesting. Speaking to some of his measurables, 6'4", let's call him 6'5", 205, 6'8" wingspan. But you are seeing a little bit of a slide because of some of the late season struggles. What do you think?
That's what I think it is. I think, obviously those turnovers were eye-popping down the stretch of the season. The shooting percentages dipped off. I think defense maybe left some to be desired. I think you could also say that about a lot of 18-year-olds when you're talking defensively. Like, I don't think we need to put that specifically on KJ. A lot of the defense is kind of the other side of that development. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of, remember, Derek, the conversations got very, very loud as you recall in March in the fan base. He was always going to be, I think, a lottery guy. It's just a matter of maybe it wasn't going to be that top 3 through 6 that the conversation was in January, and now you're seeing water maybe find its level down the stretch with him. And this is what happens when you get into this portion of pre-draft anything. They're investing a lot of money. Like, everything is going to be so thoroughly dissected. Every single step you've taken on a court is going to be dissected, so those turnovers probably get heightened a little bit in the eyes of NBA front offices. The shooting numbers maybe get a little heightened in the eyes of NBA front offices, and that's what you talk to these guys for. It's why you watch them work out, is to figure out what was real, what was not, what you can do to fix that. But I don't think 10 is. I mean, that feels right? I mean, given what you think his potential is, but also some of the concerns you saw crop up later.
I agree with that. Curtis, I want to ask you, through the lens of a fan, what did you make of who KJ was for the first 2 months? So polished, so trustworthy, and then post-injury, he was a guy, which maybe there are people that put a lot of stock into that being the reason, but what did you make of the way he played? On the whole, what was your main takeaway of the KJ experience?
I mean, it was an experience. It was fun. It was a fun experience. I never got down on KJ the way other people did. Other Illini fans did. I always kind of thought that maybe he was not 100% and just kept pushing himself, and you saw it on the court. But would you take him at 80% versus what, and that was always the question, versus
Correct.
whomever at 100. I still think he's probably should go in the lottery. I think he's a lottery pick, but it was disappointing how it ended, and that's ultimately the view I can look at as a meatball fan. Yeah, it's a little disappointing, but not as heartbreaking of a roller coaster for me as it was for some others.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you end up getting a guy, a one-and-done lottery pick.
Yeah.
And that's good to have on your resume,
yeah.
no doubt about that. And you're not a tournament team if he doesn't play the way, or especially not in a decent landing spot to win a game and whatnot if he doesn't play the way he does the first 2 months. But I also think it's fair to say, and that I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but Joey, we were talking about this a little bit earlier today. One of my mailbag questions I'm doing for Illini Inquirer was, how much are you putting into some of the other factors, whether it be the injury, whether it be how much basketball he played, as from a workload standpoint, leading up to his summer at Illinois. Then he leaves and goes to Finland to play the U18 Euros. That was a bigger task or more wear and tear on him than what a lot of his other peers would have had. I have always said, I don't know. I don't know what the injury real effect was. I could see how it definitely did play some kind of a role. I think that confidence was something that waned a little bit for him at times. I think also just some of the decision making was beyond the physical. Like, he was just making some poor decisions. He played like an 18-year-old that was riding some of the roller coasters, similar to what Will was going through earlier in the year. Just kind of was the inverse of when they happened. So I still like KJ. I think he's a good player and a guy that has a bright future, especially if he can clean up some of the handle a little bit and some of the decision making. He could get back to being someone that really impresses.
Yeah, this is what happens when we're talking a lottery pick versus a guy who might get a G League camp invite, right? Like this, you talk about these things. There's a lot of money involved in those conversations. All that we know about the injuries, we asked Brad Underwood as it went on if it was bothering him. The answer was no. And I never heard, Derek, anything even off the record in conversations here or there that would contradict what Brad Underwood told us, at least throughout the course of the season. So, I mean, I think obviously you look at the production pre-injury and the production post-injury, and there's a difference there. But I never heard through conversations that it was a lingering impact, at least to this point.
I haven't either. No, I know around the time of him trying to return, he was dealing with some hand numbness. There was swelling in the hand as in addition to the forearm injury that he took. That maybe pointed to people wondering about nerve damage or tendonitis or whatever ultimately the thing was. It was said, right, to be like it was a left forearm injury, but then didn't he tell the Lithuanian reporters that it was tendonitis? Like, there was some unclear about all the details and entire extent of what it was. But yes, in terms of some of the talks around the program post-injury or post-season, there'd be no reason now to hide it or to hold back on that. I haven't heard anything of like, he was playing at 50% and just people didn't know. I haven't heard that. But
yeah, and that's usually not something that stays quiet for long.
Correct. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's as much as we know. Will Riley, on the other hand, Derek, moved up to 22.
Yep.
I think you and I have been very firmly in the camp of, yes, he's going to go in the first round. He is not coming back to Champaign. Obviously, he's not coming back.
He's not coming back?
To Champaign. He might have to have some tough conversations.
I'm just kidding,
with the rest
everybody.
of the roster. But I've heard some encouraging news in terms of his pre-draft. He's done a good job boosting his stock in the pre-draft. I know he put on, obviously, all that weight in a good way when he got to Champaign. I think maybe he lost a little bit of that from between the season and now where he's at the Combine. I think there's maybe like a 7-10 pound difference in terms of where we had heard he was at when he left Champaign versus what he weighed in at up in Chicago for the Combine. But he's a guy that I think when you turn on the tape and you see his length, he doesn't have a negative wingspan. That was a takeaway from the Combine. When you see that with his shot making, with the fact that he's still a young guy, that he would be a guy who in theory would rise up kind of the way he's perceived by NBA front offices. And at least to this point, the vibe I've gotten is he has that. Now when we say that, we don't mean he's going from 30 to 12, right? But at least you move upwards. I don't know that it's really a first round question at this point. You don't typically opt out of the 5-on-5 at the Combine if you are fighting for a spot in the first round. That's pretty much reserved for I don't need to be here guys.
Right, no doubt about that. I think and have viewed him as a first round pick, really as he broke out from start of February. Once he was doing it, even
the Michigan State game on, the first Michigan State game on was kind of a different Will Riley.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And down the stretch of that season, he was your best thing going for a long stretch. Now, I think the way that Tommy played in the postseason, then he probably became your most consistent or your biggest asset. Kylan obviously played well late in the year too, but yeah, Will has looked like a first round pick, and I think Will has carried himself like he is going to push forward in the draft. And I think that's not just based on his mindset; it's based on what he's heard, and obviously it correlates with what Gavoni and Wu have put out there as well.
Also correlates to what Illinois has done in roster building.
No doubt,
right?
No doubt.
Yeah.
There's not a Will Riley-sized hole on this roster.
That's a great point. And I think that it is a little, and I don't blame fans for sitting there and be like, okay, we know that ESPN has him here, but how come he's not in the first round on The Athletic or he's not on the CBS Sports mock draft? I think that's fair to sit there and like, what's going on here? Who's actually right? And mock drafts are an inexact science, but Gavoni is very, very, very plugged in, and I think he has the right read on this one personally. And I've said it many times. I'm not talking to GMs. I haven't had scouts say anything as far as that goes. So I don't know. It's more of a read, but I just think what he's put on display fits his current projection.
Yeah, I also know Jeremy Wu made several trips to Champaign to see him. So it's not like this is a guy that, the people who put together mock drafts, he's not. I mean, they're familiar. He's familiar with Will Riley's game. He's been in Champaign a number of times.
Last note, would it be crazy if Will went higher than KJ, in your opinion?
Yeah, just because of what we've been so ingrained to think over the course of the last 6 months and how we've thought about these two. I think that would require a pretty steep drop from KJ, I think.
Right.
And I don't know that he's going to drop that. If I can see Will moving up into the range where that pass by would happen, but I don't know.
If he went like 15, that wouldn't be that crazy. If
For
Will went
yes,
15,
but if
it would take KJ
went
a bigger
16, I would say, whoa,
yeah,
this is interesting. But I could see Will closing that gap in a pretty real way.
Yep.
Joey, could you see a team that maybe sees Will as a better fit for what they're trying to do?
That's right. Yeah. I think the way the lottery shook out is as much as KJ being at 10 as anything else is. I think that some of those teams that maybe had early reads on KJ based on where they thought they were going to be once that lottery settled itself, and now maybe there could be a lot of trades happening. But fit is absolutely right. I think that's a good point to bring up. I don't know that KJ being at 10 is reflective of teams saying no versus just as a different top 10 than we envisioned, as we talked about maybe 2 weeks ago.
217-359-2255. If you want to weigh in, we got one more break. We'll wrap the show. When we come back, it is The Drive.
Family Aquatic Center opens May 24th. Open 7 days a week, 12:30 p.m. on weekdays and 11 a.m. on weekends. Lap swim is Monday through Friday, 6 to 11 a.m. Check out pool memberships and punch cards for extra savings, and be on the lookout for special days and promotions at the pool. For more information, call 217-367-1544 or visit urbanaparks.org. Urbana Park District. You belong here.
Hey, where are you headed?
To Kelsey Furniture in Tuscola.
What do they have there?
What don't they have there?
Living room furniture, benches, chests, love seats, sectionals, tables, bedroom sets, hutches, nightstands, end tables, cabinets, mirrors, stools, clocks, lamps, pillows, rugs, desks, media consoles, patio furniture, Tempur-Pedic mattresses, and more.
So, everything.
Yeah, probably could have just said that.
Kelsey Furniture, quality for less. From computer systems to brakes and tires too, at PDR, fixing cars is what they do. Remember, when you turn the key and the car won't run, call 367-9481 or use their dedicated text-only line at 383-0619. Additional information including repair quotes and online scheduling requests available from the website at pdrauto.com. Remember, they are what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR.
The world is full of famous piles. Stonehenge, a majestic pile of rocks. The Great Pyramids, the Great Wall of China, a truly impressive pile of bricks. And then there's your pile, maybe not so famous. 2 Men and a Junk Truck can remove those not so famous piles of stuff you've collected. 2 Men and a Junk Truck, proudly part of the 2 Men and a Truck family, making space for what matters most. Schedule your pickup at 2menandajuncktruck.com. Use code Radio25 to save $25 on your next junk removal service.
Well, I tell you what, though, A&R has been such an amazing, impactful company. Your grandfather, your dad, you've all gone through stuff. And your secret is what, John?
Well, I mean, you have to trust that you're doing the right thing, first of all. And you got to surround yourself with good people. And I think over the years, we've had some really good people that have been part of A&R. And, you know, we owe a lot of our success, if not all of it, to those people.
Neil, you could say A&R has built a great part of Champaign-Urbana. It's about people. Can you explain the culture, why people would want to work at A&R?
We've had several families where we've gone even 3 generations. And these guys are long-term employees. They want to stay with us. And it's rewarding to know that they want to be with us. We have their backs. They have our backs. And that's a unique perspective, I think, from anybody this day and age.
I'm positive because you're such a solid company. A&R Mechanical, a thriving leader 100 years later.
Hi, I'm Troy Lands from Lands Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Right now at Lands, it's a great time to buy a new Trane heating and cooling system. We are offering special financing or up to $1,500 off any qualifying Trane system. At Lands, we know what it takes to deliver exceptional comfort, and we offer a 100% satisfaction guarantee. So if you are thinking of a new comfort system, now is the time to buy. And remember, it's hard to stop a Trane. I'm Troy Lands, and you can count on my company because you can count on me.
Finishing up on the drive with Dan Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. I've enjoyed having Joey Wagner in the house. We'll be back tomorrow to join us as well. And we're going to have old friend Trevor Valise join us as well. We booked that earlier today and excited to catch up with Trev. He's been busy, as we know about, but man, through the college basketball season, what used to be an off season but is now called the transfer portal, and putting in great work for Jeff Goodman, Rob Doster at Field of 68, and look forward to chatting some ball with Trevor. College basketball, the industry. I'm sure he'll want to talk some Cubs.
That's rough.
Cubs are fun, but hey, the Cardinals are only, 2 games back? So
I learned that today. I was like, man, Dick, you can't talk Cardinals. I'm out.
I
haven't been watching baseball. I got nothing here.
You've been sticking with YouTube TV, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
I do feel like a bad fan a little bit.
That's okay.
I don't even know if this is rebuilding. It's like, it's a lot of baseball to watch. I don't want to pay $20. Is that what it is? $20 a month, I think, to watch.
I did the DirecTV stream, which it's a little bit more expensive, I think, than YouTube. So I got rid of YouTube, and now I'm doing DirecTV stream.
Do you switch back?
I switch back when it's out of baseball season. It's a pain. My wife gets mad because she records all the stuff on YouTube TV, and it's got the unlimited recording.
You are sure playing with fire.
I am, that. And then the recordings are gone. So,
no.
I know, right?
That's bold.
I'm trying to think of the show's names, but I can't. It's all the MTV stuff.
Yeah, I'm familiar. I'm excited to talk to Trevor.
I am as well.
What a cool life he lives. Well.
Scott says on the Max Twin City Recycling text line, as a Bulls fans don't want KJ, can't create a shot, loose handles, he'll probably be in the G League. That'd be tough. Bill says if you can't keep your dribble in college, NBA guards will rob you. That's true.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that his handle was looser than it should have been as an on-ball guy. We'll see again. Like, was it something that he's been able to clean up? Is it something that from an injury-wise recovery or workload-wise that he can look different? I told you guys during the break, I'm excited to see what he looks like in Summer League.